I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everybody have a chance to read the minutes from last week?
I did.
Any additions or corrections?
I didn't see anything.
Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes as written?
I so moved, Mr. Chairman. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Yes, 3-0. Commissioner comments and committee reports. Jack, do you have any?
I do not. I attended the new owners meeting, met with them. It was a long process. I don't know how they kept it quiet so long, but they thought they'd be up in 6 weeks and running. They're going to be a very diversified company. They're not going to specialize in one particular thing because they got 3 or 4 plants. The Atchison plant is basically going to be for watertight. And I asked the question, are they going to try to retain the former employees, and they're going to go after those first? He said there might be some that went on to other things or retired, but yes, they're going to start that process. And Becky was going to get a press release, and they're going to start this.
I had no official meetings. I did go attend the city council meeting at Effingham last week. I'm trying to get several of the third-class cities in the next couple of months, give them some representation. Call them my off months where it's not as busy. I have a meeting next week of, I've got any K.S.A meeting coming up and NECAT meetings coming up. This Thursday and then the Thursday after. Okay. Any other on that? New business before the board. I guess we will go into our 2018 reorganizational meeting for fiscal year 2018. Okay. First thing is to nominate a chairman for 2018. Are there any nominations?
Well, I'm kind of in the middle. I was asked to nominate this person. I don't know what to do. In the past, it's been 2 years, then we changed. Kind of spread it around. Most of these passed back because I don't think they're all signed. Those first group. Oh, you're looking for them now. Where do we go?
If there are no nominations,
Yep. I like to talk about this, but we're live on camera, just to get out. One felt that it would help in the election oncoming year because I've been told that there's he's going to have opposition, and I just don't know if that'd be a good. This person would be a good fit to be county commissioner.
Well, I'll nominate Jack.
Yeah. I will second that on the presumption that Jack will serve 2 years, and then he will be up for re-election, and then he will give it back to you to help you with your.
I think that's, I mean, that we don't even know if he's running for re-election. I mean, it's not a, I mean, that's going too far ahead. I mean, this is a year-to-year thing. So is that a second?
What? Do you feel that you're familiar enough with county business, Jack, to serve as chairperson?
I think so. I mean, I could certainly lead the meeting, and unless there's something I'm missing in the.
Well, if there's no second, then what?
Well, let me ask you this. You would like to retain it?
Yeah, I have yeah, I would like to serve again, but I guess, only question would be Jack hadn't served a full year yet. So, I mean, I was just wondering about what you had just asked. So that was my.
So is it failing for a lack of second?
I think he's still pondering.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question. Do you feel being chairman is a leg up in the election?
Oh, I don't know. The chairman, really the duties above and beyond being a regular commissioner is just to run the meetings, and the only authority that the commissioner or that the chairman has that the other two commissioners don't is the ability to call a special meeting, and that hasn't been done
I
in
did
2
it
years. Well, I guess we did have one, yeah.
last year.
So I think you're all capable of doing it.
Okay. Having said that, I served 2 years, and I believe it's good to pass it around. Commissioner Knowles had it 1 year. So I would say motion died lack of second. And then next year you'll fulfill your 2 years.
Okay. Well, then do I hear another nomination?
I definitely don't want it.
I move to elect Eric Knoll as chairman.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Do you have me serve another year as chairman? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Pass 3-0. Nominate a vice chairman.
I nominate Jack Bowers vice chair.
I second that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pass 3-0. Okay, we've got the next thing is various committee chairmen or to appoint us to. We talked a little bit about these. Is there any other additions or corrections to the lists as it was in 2017? I think I'll read them for the camera. Ambulance Advisory Board was Chairman Eric Knoll. Area Agency on Aging, Peggy House. The Chamber Board is Jack Bauer. Community Corrections Advisory Board, Bill Pohl. County Health, Eric Knoll. Juvenile Corrections, Bill Pohl. Joint Communications, Jack Bauer. Mocan Regional Council, Jack Bauer. NECAP Regional Board, Eric Knoll. NEKES, which is Northeast Kansas Environmental Service, Eric Knoll. Project Concern, Bill Pohl. And Solid Waste Advisory Board, Jack Bauer. Is that all right with just to continue with those as stated, or?
Yeah, I move to adopt it as you presented it there.
Okay, well then,
Second that.
okay, I'll just go ahead and call for a vote on that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Pass 3-0. Then we've got two new ones that we talked about. Let's deal with them individually. One is nominate somebody for the Vandiver Trust. Jeff Shealy was and he's no longer with us, so we need a new trustee for the Vandiver Trust.
I nominate Jack Bauer.
I'll second that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Pass 3-0. Okay, we talked about possibly having someone represent the county at economic development functions. This isn't we don't know who the appointee will be if we get positions on the city's economic development board, anything in that capacity.
Could we designate one of the commissioners versus a name? That way, if one of them couldn't come, I mean, we could have
I think that,
or there wasn't a name.
well, this was just we'd have somebody that was going to just by default take it. And if they couldn't be there, any of the other commissioners are welcome to attend.
One problem is, their meetings are going to be monthly, and they're going to be Tuesdays, they're going to be at 4 o'clock. And there's going to be meetings on Tuesdays that we're either going to
That would be a problem for me.
be a problem for any of us.
Well, probably so. But this isn't appointing us to any specific board. This is just someone who's going to basically be the point person for the.
This is the first person in the city to call if they want to.
Yes,
Okay.
and that's my reasoning for putting this down, is be the point person. And if they can't be there, any of us could go to these meetings. And this isn't an appointed position to the city's economic.
Well, I say the thing is, the chair might be the one to do that. I'm in town. I live in town. I'm closer, so that makes it easier for me for a last minute thing like we have occasionally.
Would you like to be? I mean, because I could see that being a problem for me with my.
Well, I'm not farming. I'm not in the field. I'm not. I only work as an independent contractor. So
I nominate Jack Bauer.
I'll second that.
You have a meeting tonight at 4 o'clock.
this is overtime.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Pass 3-0.
And could you not count?
The only thing I will ask from you, Jack, is after you have a meeting, you don't have to take a minute, but just give us a summary. We've never had that in the past.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's to whoever goes. If Jack can't serve, and whoever goes there, we just need some feedback.
Yeah, we need feedback.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is appoint current trustee and alternate trustee. I believe we had agreement this morning, or that put Jamie Madison as trustee and Michelle as alternate. Do I hear any other? And I'll make that a motion to accept those.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Passed 3-0. Okay, now we get down to approved holidays for the county for 2018. Do I hear a motion to that effect, or do you want me to make one? Or
Well, I make a motion to accept what we've decided. What we've decided, we might want to go over, so people that are watching this can see that. It's,
okay,
I think we've decided to substitute here's a correct statement. I make a motion to accept the holidays from, I think we had 11 last year, and this year would be 12, because we're going to celebrate
It's that one personal day.
one. I'm sorry.
That includes the one personal day.
That 12 includes a personal day. Christmas Eve will be. We decided we will be closed on Christmas Eve. They're giving up the Columbus Day holiday in order to offset that. So it's actually one more day for 1 year.
okay.
So I moved for that.
Okay, I will read the days that we have decided on. Will be President's Day, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, which will be Monday, September 3rd, Thanksgiving Day after, which is the Friday after, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, New Year's Day, and then it'll be Martin Luther King Day and Veterans Day, which will be celebrated on Monday, November 12th. There's one more day because of how Christmas is falling there, so we're going to grant one extra day. So it's been motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that motion, but I want it stated in the minutes that we're giving an extra day because the days they fell on the calendar, and next year it may go back to what it was in 17.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? That's 3-0. Okay. Meeting dates. We want to just keep them the same.
I make a motion we keep them on Tuesdays, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass 3-0. Date of reorganizational meeting for 2019. And we talked about this in workshop, and with the first commissioner, whoever that will be elected to that post will have to take the oath on the Monday. We decided that would probably be the best days to do our meeting that day. If we're still in agreement with that, I'll make a motion that we.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Pass 3-0.
What's that date? It has November here.
Oh, it does.
January 14th.
January. Didn't we say the 9th?
Yeah, it does.
January 3rd, 9th.
Yeah, it has November 14th here.
Probably the day of
The
the
second Monday is January 14th.
It's January
My
14th.
apologies.
Late. When's it gonna be?
Yeah.
Okay, the next item is to name the following banks as eligible depositories, which is Exchange National, UMB, Bank of Atchison, and Memorial and James. Do we have a letter, I believe, from the treasurer? This is, dear sirs, please consider Exchange Bank and Trust as the main depository for Atchison County for the year 2018. Connie Ellerman, treasurer. I'm going to make a motion. Anybody want to make a motion? We
I'll
accept?
make a motion, Mr. Chairman, we accept
treasurer's
County
recommendation.
Treasurer's recommendation, Exchange National Bank.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Pass 3-0.
I'd make a motion that our mileage rate paid for use of personal cars be the same as the state of Kansas.
I second that.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass 3-0. Just point of, we agreed for Exchange National Bank to be the main depository, but are we? Do we need to vote on the fact that we need to have all 4 banks listed as depositories, or
Yeah, they're eligible.
they're eligible, but we didn't? Do we need to actually vote on that? Or
I'm sorry, what?
We have some money in.
Yes, she could deposit funds in those banks. So yes, you do need to.
I combined the two when I was going through. I didn't realize that there was an exception to that. So go back, and we need to vote on. Do we want to agree to name the following banks as eligible depositories?
I'd move that the following banks be eligible depository: Exchange Bank. I don't think it's Exchange National anymore. Exchange Bank. UMB, Bank of Atchison, and Marlin James.
I second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded to accept those. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pass 3-0.
Am I right that Exchange Bank is no longer a national bank?
I think they changed from Exchange National Bank and Trust Company to from the Exchange National Bank and Trust Company to Exchange National Bank. I'm checking that right
Okay.
Okay, the
I knew
11th,
they changed something.
the 11th item is meal reimbursement. Current reimbursement is stated as $15 per meal, total of $38 a day, but it can be used $30 from 2 meals to make up for 1 meal. Recipients are required for each meal, or receipts, I'm sorry, are required for each meal. If meals are included in registration of meeting, you cannot include those in per meal cost. Receipt needs to be included prior to payment, and the county will not pay for tips or alcoholic beverages. Do we wish to continue with
Let
that?
me ask you a question, just as discussion before we do that. Would it be easier just to give up per diem of $38 a day? That way we would have all that bookkeeping and paperwork. Of course, they have to use it. They use a county card. We have to have it. If people just paid it personally and we didn't have to fool with it.
Then you
Or
get, then you get into the fact: is there a meal being provided at that meeting? So are they getting paid and then getting their meal as well? By the county's money to register them in this?
I know I was working with a state agency as their chair that came in the Racing Commission, and we just simply got $38 a day, I think, and they just gave us a check after we turned it in. We didn't have to. But I did not have a state card, so I was using my own personal card.
That's reimbursing your personal funds, basically.
Yeah. So maybe maybe this is the way to do it.
It's a good question. I mean, maybe
I mean,
that's,
all those little receipts.
yeah. As a county employee, what do you think about that? You can't give a wrong answer. It's your opinion.
I have the county card and everything. I charge to that county card. I have receipts for it. I mean, I don't charge. I
So
mean,
everybody has a travels as a card.
most generally, yes. Most of the people that have to travel have cards, and if not, it doesn't take them long to get cards.
Then I would move to accept the policy as presented.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pass 3-0. Anyway, 12th item is cell phone reimbursement. Current rates are $25 per month for call only and $40 per month for data and call. And this has to be approved, and the department head has to authorize the employee's cell phone for the benefit of the county before they're eligible. Is there any discussion or motion on that?
I
So
move
each
to
employee that has a cell phone gets $25 towards their
if they are authorized
Plus,
and using it for,
the 25 I have a problem with. It's the $40 per month for data. How much data are they going to be using?
well, you would have to have eligible.
I use mine for emails.
It's one plan or the other. It's not both plans
You can't
as
get
well.
both.
It's either $25 plan or the $40 plan. It's not both.
No.
If you do the emails and the texting, it gets into a little bit more as far as some of your data plans. So, but that's the reason there's two separate.
We haven't been getting enough, and I think we get 25
Well, that's probably whatever you signed up for at the time. See, my phone, I can't get data, so I'm on 25, and
Well, they didn't have data back in 1990.
yes, my old flip phone, my old standby.
I signed up for the $40 plan when
I don't think it was an option when I got on.
you need to go see the human resource.
Yeah, you can have that updated.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there a motion to accept those rates, or did you make
I
that?
made the motion.
Okay,
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Pass 3-0. Okay.
So when we say data, like if somebody emails me or texts me something about some information, that would be considered data. I don't get a lot of it, but I get some.
Or if you are searching for whatever and using that plan as a method of conveyance, where I go to the computer, you're using that. It's okay.
You take
I can understand.
pictures and send the pictures. That would be.
A computer? What's that?
I actually have one.
I didn't know there was a computer anymore.
Okay.
The official name of the bank is Exchange Bank Ampersand Trust.
It's not national.
Yeah, it looks like it's had 5 different names. The Exchange National Bank of Atchison, the Exchange National Bank and Trust Company of Atchison, the Exchange National Bank and Trust Company. I guess that's only 3 others, according to the FDIC.
Exchange National Bank and Trust.
Except for
The Exchange Bank and Trust, I'm sorry.
Exchange Bank and Trust.
Very good.
No.
Right. Thank you.
Learned something new today. Thanks to our computer.
Is that everything then as far as reorganization?
Why don't I feel organized?
It's usually me that's not the one that's organized.
The only thing that I can think, Eric, would be the meetings that would fall on the Tuesday of Christmas and the Tuesday of New Year's Day. If you guys wanted to go ahead and move those 2 meetings to the Wednesday, the 26th and the 2nd, if that's something that you wanted to choose to do now or later, it's up to you.
I'd say we ought to do it later.
We're going to do it later. Okay. Okay. $1:30. Melissa, I guess you're out. Just perfect timing. Kristen, you hadn't got on the agenda, or?
I was on for 2:30. I was supposed to go talk to Dr. Lassie, but his patient coded, so I was able to get there earlier.
Okay.
So I'm just sitting until.
Okay. I hadn't even had she added late because it wasn't on here.
I had her on at 2:30. I probably didn't bring you the updated
There's no
version.
2:30 point
I
on.
didn't bring you the updated version.
Okay.
I'm gonna
All
go
right. So I
quick.
just wanted to make sure that I wasn't spacing here.
I think Roger had mentioned to you guys that we're getting a new aerial imagery flight from the 911 folks. And as a part of that, they offered the opportunity for cities and counties to buy into 6-inch resolution imagery for their cities. at a very, very reasonable price. And so Roger had him give a price at what it would cost to get 6-inch for the city of Atchison, the industrial park, Effingham, and Lancaster. And they quoted us $12,100 for that, which is ridiculously cheap. I mean, we couldn't get a plane up in the air for that if we were just going to do it on our own. The city agreed to pitch in $5,100 because they would very much like to have that good of imagery for the city too. So that leaves $7,000 for us. I looked at my remaining budget for 2017, and I have enough money left over in my 2017 budget to cover this. If I can get approval to do that.
I've got a question now. This is a higher resolution than what we currently have, correct?
Correct.
Is
I
this
don't know
something?
what the old 2008 is, Roger.
The 2008 is 6-inch.
So
2012 was the most recent one we had flown. We flew that through an agreement with Mark, where they got great discounts on it, and our bill for that was about $46,000 to have the entire county flown at 6-inch. There are a couple of things that occur when you go from 1 meter to 6-inch. We get a lot of farm services photos at 1 meter, which means every dot on the screen roughly represents, 1 square meter. When Next Generation 911 does it, they do it at 1 foot. And then the greater resolution 6-inch is what we're trying to upgrade to here. And with 6-inch, you can pick out many more of the improvements on the ground and get much more accurate. But because of that accuracy, it also requires, as you will see on the back side of this sheet, requires a lot of extra ground control to make sure that those photos are what they call ortho-rectified correctly and lay out according to mapping and the ground. So that's what a lot of the extra money is for the ground control. And that shows you the locations where I told them that we wanted to have it was the municipality of Atchison, the extremities of that municipal jurisdiction, the city of Lancaster, and the city of Effingham. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go through all of that, but I wanted to correctly represent it to you.
And the 6-inch makes it a lot easier for us in the appraiser's office to really see what's on the ground in the cities. For the rural areas, 1 foot is great. But for the cities, 6-inch just makes a big difference for us.
I was just wondering if there was any plans for going to a higher resolution out in the county, or if that is something ongoing.
But we are being provided 1 foot for the entire county by 911, just like we got in 2014. Okay. So we are getting all new imagery for the entire county.
I missed that.
And it is 1 foot imagery.
Yeah.
The FSA imagery that we get almost every year now is 1 meter imagery.
It's 1 meter and it's leaf on, so it's harder to see the improvements with the FSA. It's good for the county. It's good for ag. It's great for ag. But this will be great. This 1 foot will be great for what we do. But the 6-inch will be even better. It'll help us out a lot.
And to give you just a little bit of history, they didn't used to fly nearly as much as they do now. And the way they did it was they did it with silver oxide photos. This was before digital stuff. And at that time, the county used to try and upgrade every 3 to 4 years for appraisal purposes. Those were very expensive ventures to do. Farm Services then were doing it every 2 to 3 years. We were trying to get into some kind of a cycle. But the fact is, it's just like all electronics have moved so much. And we were picking up pieces and bits from everywhere else. So the last money we spent on any area was 2012.
Good.
And
So we
how
got
much
yeah,
did
we
we
got
spend in 2012?
about $46,000.
Sounds pretty cheap to me.
Yeah,
it is.
we're looking at $7,000, which is going to get these municipalities, these urban areas all done. And there's going to be a little, they're showing the boxes tight, but it's going to splash over a bit more than that. And everywhere else, we're going to get 1 foot. And 1 foot's still not bad.
Okay. I'd move to approve this as presented, with the city contributing $5,100.
I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion?
You said you had this in your budget or leftovers?
I have it left over in my 2017 budget, yes.
All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Pass 3-0. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to go wait on you. Seth next, or you would do?
I don't know. It's completely up to you. Seth came in prior to the email I got from Kristen upping the time.
Okay.
So
Seth, come on up.
I don't know. To be fair, I don't know.
First thing, I know we talked this morning about a map of what I was proposing on these bridges. And Roger had made this up. Try to find it. I don't know if you have any more to say on that.
Well, what I'm doing is producing maps for Seth right now that would show the one that he just gave Eric shows the 9 locations that Seth is proposing as the top 9 predicted bridge replacement locations. He also brought me just a moment ago.
We got that.
Yeah. We could replace, put it next to the one back there. Would be a good.
Wait, and what I am going to do, I just got from Seth the list of all the bridge replacements since 2000. And I'm going to go ahead and put those on there with notes that say exactly which of those were replaced in what year, so that you have a very accurate, because the whole story is not just what's bad, but it's what's bad and what you've done.
What we have done and what we intend to, where we're going.
And then it will also depict the fracture critical bridges on it, so that you can see how many of those would still remain after the point of the repairs that you're proposing. And so when that map is done, I'll do a big copy of it, or I'll do a copy of it that we can put on the back wall here and anyone can see it. Is that? Unless you'd like something else.
No, if you're going to produce another one, I may take this one for my own use, because I would like to drive and actually physically
That's
look at these.
exactly why we did that.
So, do you guys need a copy of this, or?
I'll have the other one done later today.
Okay.
Yeah, when you get the other one done, can you give it to me electronically?
I can send it. I could send you all a PDF of all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would like that, and then we'll have one for here, one good copy for the wall here.
Okay.
My walls in my house are getting full with maps, so I can't do too many of it. It's a good thing I don't have a wife, because she doesn't like all the maps.
My maps are doing just fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I said that for your benefit.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much.
I said that for your benefit.
I know you.
The other thing I have is what I spoke about this morning about selling some of the older equipment we have that we no longer need on Purple Lake. There's a list of it. And answer any questions on anything on that list or any concerns.
What miscellaneous tractor for yourself?
There's a box blade that we would never use. There's some type of mower that's in parts that we won't ever use. And there's an auger that goes with back an old, probably 60 model auger that we'll never use.
Trouble is, I really don't see anything that's going to want somebody to come look at anything of the rest of the stuff. It's going to be basically salvage.
There's a few items on there that might be interesting. I mean, you'd be surprised on Purple Lake.
See the pictures.
Some of the last stuff that we sold, or the county sold, it went for a lot more than what we expected. So it's just getting the right person at the right time, really.
I have no problem with the things on the list.
I make a motion to approve that list of some on Purple Wave.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass 3-0.
Should we check with any other departments and see if they got anything they want to throw on there as well?
I believe Westlander did that. The last go round, I know there's some office desks that were on there. Solid waste had stuff. Merchant had some items.
They might be cleaned up a little bit then already.
I know there's been a few things. Unless Michelle can think of anybody else gets items around here.
That does have items currently. I just spoke to Peggy. Might be interested, or she has a vehicle, I believe.
So I'll give it to Peggy, but more times than not, it's all you call. They still come up regardless. My equipment will be on different than Peggy's would be, so I'll be under construction equipment, person, all under government items. Anything else?
No.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In the bills,
Oh, there you go.
we spent $8,000 on equipment. I thought we was going to spend around $5,000, like the welder, air compressor, all that.
On the truck, service truck.
That was, it should have been 8,000. Should have just been this.
That was on 17.
Yeah, I believe so.
I thought you didn't pull it.
Yes, I need to see which one that is on. We spent 40 on that box.
Is that towards your account?
Was that his department that had the 2x4s and then
Yeah.
the credit? It was in.
You had a bill of 13, then you had a bill of 112, and then there were some initials there that the 112 had already been paid or something. At the bottom, the total was 134 or something.
It's like a $125 bill, but some of it had been already paid. So it's like
Caravan or something.
it was two befores, I believe.
It was the 13, but they didn't say what the 125 was for. But then on the side, it just had a PD.
See, a lot of those that come in, like if the guys bring in the receipt for what they go get for lumber wise. Depending on if the bill comes sooner than later, we'll pay off that receipt instead of off of the statement that may come later. But some of these stores around town, you pay off the actual receipt instead of paying off with an invoice. A lot of them don't send invoices too, so there gets to be some confusion there on some of these that we don't use a lot. Okay, so that was an invoice that was already paid. So what we would have paid off of it, paying this amount instead of the 125.
Okay.
So yeah, that's just for, like I said, when they send us invoices, more times than not, we pay off of this instead of this.
There's 5 ways to pay off invoice.
Yeah.
That's statements.
Okay.
And then your other one.
The other one I can't find, but it was on the equipment that you're putting on the new truck right now. I think it was 8,000 or something for equipment. I don't recall all those.
Unless it was included with the truck, because there was some framework that needed to be done, but it was still under the cost. It was like $39,000, and we had
I think that
approved for 40, just over 40,000 for the whole thing. So it actually came in under what we had projected.
Didn't find it.
Okay. Well, I mean, you need to call me later on.
Okay. We may look to it later. After.
All right.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Kristen, you want to come on up?
Well, I want to, sorry, I can't move my head. don't know if it's stress or what, but my neck is frozen and I just can't.
Let me try to move it for you.
Without being in pain. This, when we cleaned, at Atchison County Health Department, we found this, and it was really cool. It's a scrap that goes clear back to 1974, and it's all Atchison Health Department. There's newspaper clippings. It kind of helps explain a little bit how Atchison Health Department and home health came to be. So I'll leave this with you guys, and you can kind of look through it or whatever you want to do. It's pretty interesting. But we found that one. Bring that up. Here's.
Now, is that for us to keep or
Yeah,
to?
you can keep that. It really needs to be put in some sort of archives and not just floating around the health department willy-nilly.
Okay.
I'm gonna pass those down.
2 per person?
Yeah, 2 per person. And I don't have one for Pat, so I don't know if you want to get some yours now.
I have one on my computer.
You have one on your computer. Okay,
Oh,
that's
just
right.
the
You read.
PowerPoint.
Yeah.
But I have financials included in that, which I don't believe are in the
I need one of
PowerPoint. So this is what I presented to Brown County. About 6 weeks ago, Jeff Shelton, the CEO of Hiawatha Hospital, and I talked about home health. We've lost $1 million in home health since 2000, since we started keeping track in QuickBooks. And so that's in one of these reports here. We have lost $900,000 in public health, and we have a net income of $3 million in hospice. So hospice has covered the debts of public health and home health. But that is with a home health census of about 8 and a hospice census of about 21. If we don't keep that ratio, we see it. And we're seeing it right now because for about 3 months, at the end of last year, we had quite a few more home health referrals, and our hospice referrals went down. Just, it kind of ebbs and flows, so it's temporary. But we're seeing that now, where for the fiscal year, our home health is $50,000 in the red, and our hospice is only $26,000 in the positive. So we didn't even make enough yet for hospice to cover home health. So when the CEO and I had this conversation, he insisted that they were in the red also. And I
this
know
is the
Hiawatha Hospital.
Hiawatha Hospital.
And I will explain why this affects you in just a minute. Having that conversation, he was well aware that we did not have the capacity to take on his patients. And that ultimately, I thought what we had decided was that it was a necessary service for the community. It helped keep their rehospitalization rates low, helped keep people from coming to the ER. It keeps people from just dying from post-surgical infections, and it really does help the elderly, probably a lot more than anybody else. But there are circumstances where we have younger people who've been in car accidents who need to be on home health, things like that. We do home health in Jackson and Brown counties. The referrals we get for Atchison County come from both Brown County and Atchison. Brown County hospitals, which there's 2, Horton and Hiawatha, and from Atchison County Hospital. Atchison County runs its own home health program. So naturally, the referrals they send to us are the ones that are going to be very time-consuming, very demanding, money-losing deals. And because we're nonprofit and we're government-affiliated, governmental, quasi-governmental, whatever you want to call it, we represent the county government. We, of course, take those patients on. They're the indigent patients, and we can't discriminate based on whether or not they're taxpayers, which I don't know what to do. But anyway, and then you have some people, from Muskota and around there, that area, that you go to Horton probably, maybe even go to Hiawatha to the hospital. It just kind of depends. So, in essence, we will have an uptick in home health referrals, and we will not be able to respond to all of those. There are going to be people who will be turned away, a lot of people, and that will affect this county, and that will put the burden back on your hospital to take those money-losing patients. Hiawatha Hospital. I don't know, their CEO came to the meeting I organized yesterday with the commissioners. I had K.S.A there. I had the Hiawatha World there. I had Gary McIntosh, a provider from Fortin, there because they're very concerned about this. In fact, their corporate office called me about this and wants to have a meeting. We had Jeremy Stover from Freedom Hospice there. He's a private for-profit provider. And several other people. I don't recall who all was there. But either way, I flat out told the commissioners, the Board of Health at one point determined home health was an essential service that we provide. We have a duty to the taxpayers, and we have a duty to the elderly in our community. They're the ones who have paid in the taxes. They pay into Medicare. They deserve to access services. And to have Betty, taxpayer, retired school teacher, paid her property taxes her entire life, needs hip replacement surgery, and doctor says, no problem, your insurance won't pay for you to stay in the hospital, but we'll get you home health. Call the only home health provider, which is the government-sponsored home health. Can't take you, we don't have capacity. So how does that look? That's terrible. That's a terrible thing to have to say to someone. And just like yesterday, for example, we were full. We were at capacity. And I got a phone call that said, we have a home health referral. And I said, hey, we're at capacity. And they said, yeah, but it's our clerk's aunt and our other clerk's grandma. I said, well, you got to take her. And that's what we're going to run into. That is. It's somebody's old family friend. It's somebody's grandmother. It's somebody's, neighbor. Whether it be a commissioner, whether it be a nurse, whether it be just anybody in the community, that's what we're going to run into. So I do think that it is necessary to provide home health services. And Brown County, I told them what it would take, at least 2 RNs and 1 additional home health aide. And because home health does not pay for itself, that's going to be about $200,000 a year. And I really thought that it would put a little pressure on the hospital CEO and hospital board when I mentioned the tax lid law, and I mentioned the fact that they were going to have to have a public vote on this in Brown County to levy those taxes. Essentially, what it would be the taxpayers voting to increase their own taxes to pay for a service that the hospital dropped. And so I thought, maybe that would kind of push the hospital board to reconsider its decision. After all, they provided home health services for 20 years, and suddenly we get a new CEO in from someplace in Colorado, and we're going to get rid of not only home health, but Meals on Wheels and home care.
Meals on Wheels?
Mm-hmm. And then I find out that he's been telling everyone, and this is how he's avoided public backlash. And I'm being very candid and very honest, and I always am, and I really don't care at this point. Anyway, he has been telling several people that not to worry, any pay, we'll take it. We can handle all the patients, we can take over everything. So don't be worried about it. And we can't.
So how much money is the hospital going to save?
I have no idea. They didn't disclose that. They didn't bring their financials like I did. They didn't disclose the salaries of their executive staff like we did.
For a private hospital?
I guess you would call them that. They have a hospital board, and they don't take any county funds. They're not county owned.
They're taking federal funds?
Yes, they're a critical access hospital.
How does that information public domain?
Is it the Hiawatha Hospital? Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Are they organized as a 501c3? They are, right?
I know that because of their status as critical access,
it'll be 990 reported.
They do have to have so much, basically charitable care that they have to provide. I don't know what their financial situation actually looks like. Again, they didn't volunteer any of that.
An email to me. Did you indicate that was the Horton Hospital interested in maybe getting into some of this, or is that
Not
wishful thinking?
not into home health per se. Corporate is having. They called me yesterday. They're going to have a conversation about maybe coming up to a commissioner meeting. They want to talk to commissioners about what it is that they might be able to do to help.
This is Brown County Commissioners.
Yes, but I don't know what they're considering. Gary McIntosh said that perhaps, he said there was about a half a wing of the nursing home that was closed off, and there was an office space in there plus beds. And he said you can probably move your home health and hospice to that location and operate a hospice house even. And that they are trying, their corporate is really investing in Horton Hospital. They're trying to get a drug rehab facility open, going there, which would be absolutely amazing. And they, they're investing in the community. And I would love to move home health and hospice there, but I just want to make sure it's not under any sort of assumption that we will serve them before anybody else, because we can't do that.
We would still be the entity we are. We wouldn't be
We're just
operating on behest of them.
And that's what I want to make sure that this corporation is not trying to do when they become involved. And, the commissioners talked a little bit about, well, why are we doing hospice when, we have other hospice providers, they're for profit. So they will take those hospice patients that they know will make the money and leave us with the hospice patients that will lose us money, which will ultimately bring us right back to the commissioners for funding. And by statute, county does not have to fund anything but public health. So eventually that will close our home health and our hospice, and county will pay more in taxes to support public health that hospice is no longer supporting. So it's great to give money to private enterprise, but at the same time, it means levying more taxes to support programs that the state says you have to support.
I had mentioned to you in an email that I was thinking about coming to the meeting yesterday at Brown County. Mm-hmm. And part of it was logistics. Part of it was, I got thinking, well, I thought maybe the initial presentation of this was, it's kind of right on their turf right now. Me showing up as another commissioner, I didn't know how that would affect the conversation, because let them talk it out, and then we may have to have a meeting in the future. But I got thinking, sometimes the guy can be a little bit eager, and
they're looking at this not as a county issue but a regional issue, which is why I'm here.
Yes.
And I've already been to Jackson County. We do no home health or hospice work in Jackson County whatsoever. As far as I'm concerned, they really don't have a duty to this, but they are part of NEK. There is a possibility that there are patients from northern Jackson County who go to Horton or Hiawatha who might be affected by this when they try to put them on home health. So it is a possibility. I live in Jackson County and I go to Horton to the hospital. Horton got rid of its labor and delivery service, which is going to send more people, maybe to Hiawatha for labor and delivery, which opens up more potential for home health after, with complications for childbirth or something to that effect. Anyway, so it really does, them closing really does affect a lot of things. And I did some calling because counties all over the state run home health. Some run home health and hospice. Jefferson County is one that runs home health and hospice. However, they have their own therapies, which is what really loses us money. If the Atchison Hospital would let us use their therapies, we wouldn't have to pay stars an arm and a leg to travel to Atchison County. But unfortunately, we do. Phillips County Home Health, because of new COP requirements, they're not sure if they can meet. They're thinking about dropping their home health. They're the only provider in their county. They're maybe considering taking private pay only. So because it's so expensive and it requires so much work to contract with Medicare and Medicaid to be a certified home health through Medicare and Medicaid. The new conditions of participation, the interpretive guidelines are 851 pages. So, and that has to be implemented by February something or other. We've got ours done. We're done. We're good. The girls worked really hard. Cloud County, they have had several private providers come in, and so of course they have taken any patient that is going to make money. They have a system and they can turn people away. So they're considering private pay now or dropping home health services entirely. Clay County already did away with home health. Dickinson County, I talked to Carol there. The only thing that keeps them breaking even is hospice donations. They don't even have hospice revenues enough to carry home health and hospice there because they are getting overrun with for-profit organizations. So that just simply means that that's yet another service. And for-profit will come in, and then we've had it happen in Hiawatha too. They come in for a little while, they don't make any money, and they leave. And that's the same with like corporate buying that hospital in Horton. It's fantastic while it's there. And I worry that they'll bring all of their stuff in and then they'll realize that there's no money to be made and then they'll take it away. So anyway, I would propose a meeting between commissioners because I cannot tell you, I cannot solve this for you. This
Between
is really,
all three counties?
I would say so. And that would be a good time also to look at what you want to see in possibly an updated interlocal agreement. Healthcare is coming down to the county level, unfortunately. A lot of counties now even have county-owned hospitals. It's just...
That's where it started.
Yeah. I mean, it's just coming down to the county level. And so it's important, I think, for the counties to sit down and, I guess, hammer that out. And I don't know, maybe you want all of your nursing home administrators, your hospital CEOs, you know, maybe you want all of those there and everybody just figure it out. I don't know. I have a meeting set up with the Hiawatha Hospital. They were trying to set up a meeting to basically try to tell us that we can take all their patients and give us their zip codes and everything else, and that's fine, but I want other people in there too, because I want to know why some of these patients can't go temporarily into a nursing home as opposed to having to have our nurses drive 40 minutes every day to have a 15-minute visit, drive 40 minutes back, and then do paperwork for 3 hours. Another problem we are running into, and this is really a great reason to have a hospice house, is that we are having a hard time managing pain for people because pain management, especially for people dying of things like cancer, involves opioids. And they have members of their family, this has happened many, many, many times, who will steal their medication, making it to where we cannot bring meds into the home. That is becoming a trend and a very big problem.
The way I see it, this is a big problem, but if we go ahead and come to their aid, is this just the start?
Oh,
so
this is the start of county.
I don't want to sound unsympathetic, but
right.
Do we call their bluff and let them get enough complaints from the citizens from Holton or Hiawatha that they go back, change their CEO or change their thinking?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I know that the biggest problem we have with our agency is that we have a great relationship with all of our doctors, with all of our PAs, and having to tell them that we can't take their patients is going to strain those relationships. And it will do so in Atchison County as well as Brown County, because again, we can't discriminate. So it's kind of first come, first serve.
I guess being on the board, I have a concern with if we are 3 county board, and in this case Brown would have a problem, and if the other 2 counties basically pull back or don't pony up something, or there isn't, could that split the arrangement up that we have? I mean, or what? Sounded like Brown County thinks it's a regional thing. If the other 2 counties don't see it that way, is it going to spiral into our county's disorganization splitting?
Well, I don't know. Right now, every county pays about $5 per capita for public health. Oh goodness. Carol was telling me, Carol Whitebird, something from Dickinson County, I believe, was telling me about the one county that pulled out of the SEK and wound up paying double what they were per capita before they were with SEK. You know what I mean? So I don't know that it would be in any county's best interest. And not only that, but then that disbands our home health and hospice too.
That's what I'm saying is my initial thing is, but I'm saying I'm not wanting it to go that way. I'm just saying what would happen if we don't at least consider it.
Yeah.
Do you think that we need to have a board meeting, an emergency board meeting, or will that help? Or
the problem is that our board can't decide to levy taxes for something, so I think it needs to be the commissioners. This is out of the scope of our board's control, I think.
But I thought maybe if we met as a board, it would possibly come up with topics that we could present when the commissioners are all there, because the commissioners, we get together and we don't do the day-to-day operations and see the books and that. And if we had a committee meeting, we could kind of this is what we need to address. We need to definitely, first meeting, we need to talk about this, maybe have things kind of laid out for us when we get together.
Yeah.
Because I think we'd end up staring at one another and say the obvious things and not get maybe down to some of the more unpleasant nitty-gritty day-to-day operation stuff. So,
and unfortunately, I mean, I have, like Melinda, she's been in Ireland and she's back and she's seeing patients today, so she couldn't come, but she really wanted to. I have been sending emails and trying to communicate with everybody, but I haven't gotten any responses from any of our board members. I don't know if that's because they're busy or because they just simply don't know what to say.
I think it's probably a lot of the latter. Because unless I would have attended the Brown County meeting, I mean, I see what's going on, but I mean, as one person, I don't know how to address it. And that's where I come up with the thing, if the commissioners are all sitting in the same room, I mean, where do we start? Mm-hmm. And I didn't know if that was something that
the board is going to feel similarly. I think the question at hand right now is for each county to say, how essential is it to us that our community is served by home health? That there are enough home health providers that we don't have to turn people away. And then we need to look more at the degree, to which that affects each community. And then I think that how I need to know, and I've told Atchison, or not Atchison, but I've told Horton and Hiawatha hospitals both this. I need to know how many of your patients come from Atchison County and how many come from Jackson County. Because I think that the only fair way to do that is to look at the ratios. I mean, if we've only got 5% coming from Atchison County, I don't think that Atchison County needs to pay $100,000. Mm-hmm. I think that's a fair way to actually look at the data.
Prorate it according to usage.
And the hospital hasn't offered up any funds to.
No.
Okay.
And I do want to listen to corporate and see what ideas they have, but I'm not going to put any of my eggs into that basket just yet because I don't know if they understand what it is to be governmental. Because the first thing Jeff Shelton wanted to do was take over our agency. When he found out hospice was making money, the CEO for Hiawatha Hospital said, "Oh well, that's what you're doing is really what we need to acquire you. We need to take over, your operations." And I said, "No, we are governmental and you are not. That is not an option for you." He didn't know that. He was from out of state. He had no idea. Out of state, apparently, you can do that, supposedly.
Well, we're facing healthcare crises
Yes.
in the state, even worse than our area. The hospitals are going to close.
Yes. 82.
And it began with the state level.
82 hospitals since when? 2010?
When is our next scheduled board meeting? That's not quite a ways, is it? I don't have it down.
March. This is,
Yeah.
and this is not something that's going to affect us 6 months or a year down the road. This is starting now. This is starting today.
Yeah. I was going to say we'd have to convene an emergency if you thought that would do any good. I mean, that's trying to throw some ideas together. How to help.
And our board of health can decide, yes, we think home health is essential, and we want to make sure that everybody who needs services in every county is able to access services. Right now, I don't know how many people in Jackson County are getting turned down by their only home health provider left is the hospital, and they have to use agency staffing to staff their nurses. So there's no way they're going to want to come north across county lines or even in Atchison County to see patients when they're already having to outsource their nursing.
Is there any way that if they chose to do that the agency could subsidize them? I mean, I don't know whether that would, instead of us taking on a whole new staff, if we could either, if Holton Hospital would put on a new staff member that we could help subsidize there and send some patients there. I mean, I'm just trying to, think of ways that we could combine them to save some money.
Well, and there's the possibility that in increasing our staff, it will give us the capacity to see more hospice patients. And a lot of times, home health patients are really hospice candidates. It's just that the doctors don't want to say, "I'm sorry, you're not going to recover." And eventually then they do go on to hospice. So there is the possibility that eventually, assuming there are no more cuts in funding, and I can't tell you that, I still don't know if they're going to cut the rural add-on. They have a 3% that they add on if you're in a rural area. And I think that's on the table to be cut. So we'll see.
So this purpose of this meeting is to keep us informed of what's going on. You have no action points.
And find out, I mean, I guess for you guys, you would have to really discuss, how you feel about home health. The problem is when you only have 2 home health providers and home health is a losing operation, if we just stop doing home health in your county and we say, "Oh, here you go, Atchison, you can have all of it," that actually hurts them in the same way that Hiawatha closing hurts us. It's a losing operation, and so when you throw it all on the shoulders of one agency, it means that eventually they won't do it anymore because they can't afford to unless they have some sort of funding. So the action, I guess, eventually, hopefully soon, either we need to go ahead and hold a board meeting, or you need to just say this is a commissioner level concern, and have the commissioner meeting. And we have to really come up with what questions specifically do we want answered, and then how are we going to, get to that.
I guess to set that agenda and things, that's the reason I was thinking of having the the board meet.
And
I don't know if that's
do
feasible.
that. I can try. I can see if Melinda will call an emergency meeting.
Because I don't know, like if we walk in tomorrow with Brown and Jackson County, okay, do we know everything we need to know, or what questions we need to answer then, or are we just going to be kind of mulling things around? I thought maybe it'd give us more of a clear. Has there been any like detailed estimates of how this was going to affect with the numbers, or do we know exactly if all of the patients that Hiawatha had that now will be referred to us?
17. Their daily census was 17.
But I mean, do we know how many are politically correct, non-payer? I mean, is this all people that are not paying for any of it, or I mean, is there a percentage? Or
you have people on Medicaid, you have people on Medicare, you have people with private insurance.
Mm-hmm.
The problem, and then you have non-payers. The problem is your windshield time. The problem is your therapies. You have to pay their mileage. You have to pay point to point. You have to pay.
I know it would take.
We are responsible for coordinating the care of these people the minute they are put on home health. So we have to get all their therapies involved. We have to, we have to do all of that, and we have home health aides that we have to pay to go to their location as well and give them baths, things like that.
I guess if we had a number of what it's costing us per patient on an average right now, and we times it by 17, it would be.
I suppose. I mean, it's just every situation is different.
Although we were going to be putting new staff on, it would be more than what we're doing. Yeah, that's what I was
we lost $50,000 with an average patient census of 8, and since July 1 of 17. So multiply that by we got this, divide it by 8 and multiply it by 17, and that's your loss. And then add in more staff, and I don't know. It's so hard, and that's why these for-profits, they have a little formula. If you require X amount of hours of care, we're not taking you. If you don't have probably 2 insurances, we're not taking you. Yeah.
okay.
And we can't do that as a nonprofit, and as a government, we do have a duty to the taxpayers.
Why don't you see what kind of response you get? Maybe email the board first, and if the board don't feel like if they'd be helpful, we wouldn't have to have it. But if they are, we need to call it probably as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. Kind of get an idea of where they want to go, and then that would give us more talking points and kind of a direction before we would call a commission meeting.
Mm-hmm. How do you guys? It just depends on whether you guys feel this is a Board of Health thing or more of a commissioner thing ultimately, because Board of Health can't levy taxes, and that would be, your decision. So the Board of Health can say, yes, we think home health is necessary, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you guys are going to be willing to fund it.
I say it'll come down if you meet with commissioners. Your 3-county thing will go by the wayside, and each county will take care of their own problems.
You think the interlocal agreement, that they'll pull out of the interlocal agreement?
I think we would really need to weigh the costs of what that would cost if this spun out of control, or the multi-county health had split apart. I think our cost would go up probably more than what we'd be talking about the subsidy for.
Well, and then you have no home health or hospice, meaning that that $1 million in public health losses that hospice is covered, and $1 million in home health losses. I mean, I don't want it to disband or go by the wayside. I also don't want to have a hostile meeting between 9 commissioners, trying to figure out who has to pay for what. That's definitely not my intention. I would like to keep this just as simple as possible, and just figure out what we need to do. What I'd really like, what needs to happen is I need to go and talk to the hospital board and ask them to possibly reconsider and let them know the chain of events that this has brought about and the stress that this puts on us. Maybe that's the first thing that I should do, really.
I don't think that would hurt any which way, even for the public to see that. I mean, I don't know if it's a public meeting or not, but
Yeah. I don't know. They had their board meeting. I don't know. I would assume it has to be an open meeting when you have any sort of a board overseeing anything, especially with federal funding. It has to be an open meeting.
They're a 501c3.
Yeah. So.
yeah, but I don't know if the public will, unless if it's not advertised, they won't see it. I mean,
Well, hopefully MSC News and Hiawatha World will publish some of the stuff that was said yesterday, and hopefully they took the main point that we are not able to take on your patient load, and here's what it costs to do that. And it's on the back of the taxpayers to cover it. That's the main points.
Is the hospital going to change their mission statement?
To help everyone or whatever.
Well, it's pretty, you have a warm and fuzzy feeling when you read it.
Mm-hmm. I know. It's a bad deal all the way around. I will talk to.
Their IRS Form 990 for 2015 is online. And their mission is, as a rural community hospital, Hiawatha Hospital's primary goal is to provide modern, reliable, and affordable health services that best meet the needs of our community residents. Revenues for $25 million.
Okay, so since 2000, we've lost $1 million with an average census of 8. Let's say there's an average census is twice, so they've lost $2 million.
That's 8% of the revenue.
Essentially. So I'm going to get Gary. I'm going to talk to Gary McIntosh at 4:00 today when I take my daughter to see him because she's at home sick, and I'll talk to him about. Let's just go talk to the hospital board because he is a provider who's really, really in our corner. He gives us a lot of referrals. He really likes the girls and what we do. So he's very supportive. He's from Horton Hospital, but he's very supportive of us. So I think maybe that's what we'll do, and then I'll get back to you and let you know how that goes.
okay. We won't try to put any commissioner meeting together until we decide whether we're going to try the committee or any K and whether that goes or not. And then, so you keep in touch with me and we'll go from there.
Okay, I will do that. And I think they meet on Monday night, so probably it'll be Tuesday night, maybe next week, since it's Monday's a holiday. But I don't know. I will figure out when the hospital board meets and I will go there.
Have you heard from Dr. Melinda? I mean, she was in Ireland too.
I texted her yesterday and visited with her, yeah.
Okay,
So.
I had sent her the PowerPoint that you sent me, and I haven't heard back, but I'd just seen that she'd gotten back from vacation.
Mm-hmm.
So I know things are hectic and everything there. So I just wondered if I hadn't seen her included, and just kind of wanted her to let her know what was going on.
But she's got like 3 days or 4 days getting home.
Yeah, well, plane got rerouted.
Yeah, welcome to the real world. That happens all the time.
Traveling with a 1-year-old, so she's probably sleeping.
See, that's why I don't travel. I have 4 kids. It wouldn't be good.
Especially with a stiff neck.
It would not be good. I would not come home with all 4 of them.
I think you need to go see Melinda right now for that neck.
Except my daughter probably has influenza and I have to take her to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
What time it is. So I have to go to Whiting and pick her up and take her to see Gary. And then I have a council meeting tonight that I have not yet prepared for, and our mayor called me today and I said, this better not be bad news. And he goes, it is. He said, the other employee that we have is quitting. And I said,
System overload.
Seriously? Oh, God. I got to con somebody else into doing that job.
There is quite an article in there.
the mayor claims I blackmailed him into being the mayor. I don't think I did, but maybe I
Well, Kristen and son will come up in the morning.
did. Is it up now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be
Unfortunately.
fine. We'll figure it out.
Okay. Well, thank you for
Oh,
your
and
time.
our health department looks great. We even got the contractor to do a few extra things for
Oh,
no
on the
extra
here,
cost.
here in town, the floor, and I need to stop by.
Yeah, the wall's out and everything. It's all organized. Looks great. Floors are very pretty. I know Christy did some painting. We went ahead and our agency just purchased paint because it just needed touched up, a new, fresh, not Pepto-Bismol pink anymore. So.
The soft spot. What did they find under there? Was it subflooring bad or?
To my knowledge, it was not. It was simply that it was not drilled down attached, so that when you walked over it, it bounced off of the.
Okay, it really wasn't sinking. It was probably like bubbled up, so you were getting that sensation.
It wasn't attached to the joists, floor joists, I guess. The subflooring was not attached to the joists. So.
Okay, good. Because I was worried that something more would go wrong.
Well, we should be. The only thing we haven't messed with is electric. So.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep, I'll let you know.
Always good news.
You
Okay.
get commissioners all involved. Some good.
Well,
Some good.
I think we have to set and look not only the cost of what this could cost, but what are the costs to try to take it back on a loan, and that's going to be higher. So I'm not. I've been part of this board, and I think
How
this
long is it going to be for Holton? Said for Holton.
Or Atchison.
or Atchison.
Said,
Atchison will probably
you
be
picked
next.
up their slack. We want our slack picked up too. When's it going to stop?
I don't know, but I'm saying that a guy just can't. Because initially, when I first heard this through her email, was like, well, no, the more, if you sit there and think about it and consider it, I'm not wanting to do it, but I don't know if you do something just to spite, okay, I want to take a stand, it could blow up, and if the agency spun out of control or out of existence, and we had to take back all of our, we'll still have the same problem, because if Atchison Hospital, only we'll be doing it alone, we won't have a CEO. I mean, it would become a county health department all on its own again, and we're going to be subsidizing to a much higher degree than we are now.
Well, I have a good faith in Kristen that she's going to solve this problem.
Well, that's one thing when we have this agency is we've got the CEO, we've got a lot of things that are, it wouldn't be us day-to-day operations, which I have heard from other counties that are standalone health agencies, that they're paying 3 times what we are per person, and they're pulling their hair out because every week they've got a new problem. So I'm defending the agency. I don't know where this is going, but I have seen estimates on what it costs other counties that are standalone with their health agency, and we are well under what they're paying. So, be that what it is, we'll have to see what comes out. It's not a good situation. Well, moving on. Old business. Pat gets back in here. She's next. Let me finish up the. Oh, I know what we have.
Whenever you have a group in an organization such as this, and one county pulls out, it causes so much problem for the other counties. That's not good.
It's not the county pulling out.
It's not the county.
Well, the hospital pulling out.
The county commissioners should have enough pull with these board members too.
I would think they could put some pressure on
Yeah.
them. The CEO probably wants to make the hospital look like it's making $10 million. He's probably paid on profits.
Well, I looked at the list of board members. I thought maybe I know somebody, but I didn't.
Just double check and make sure that everything's taken care of.
Okay, I have one thing, Eric. Sure. I'd like you to assign me to try to come up with, work with a couple of county employees to come up with a timeline for the budget process to be presented to the rest of the commission.
Okay.
I probably want to work with Michelle and Jamie and maybe get that timeline laid out and see how
Well,
everybody
we got kind
guides
of
it.
from that hard copy, kind of a plan what other counties do that we can just kind of follow them, maybe quirk it just a little bit for our county.
Well, I'd like to get to a point where we actually have a timeline for us based upon those ideas, because they're good ideas. Because all of a sudden 6 or 8 weeks is going to pass. And if you wouldn't mind, I would take that responsibility on. Obviously for the approval of the commission.
Yeah. Approval by me. Do we need to vote on it, or
Well,
just
I don't think so.
just
yeah.
if you want to do that? I think what falls into that would be what we were talking about doing.
When did Jamie come back?
She's back this week, but she's at the, was it Carrot?
So she's back now full time, so that's not a problem. Okay.
Yeah. So from here on out, we should be back to normal with her position. With this, doing interviews with or updates with the department heads, and kind of some of the reviews kind of almost go hand in hand, I think, with some of this budgetary process.
Well, yeah, I wasn't anything of the reviews, but at least how we'd like them to come together at the beginning to talk about what we have to accomplish and those type of things.
Okay. We've got one contract for attorney services. We passed 3 of them last week, and there was one that wasn't here. And this one is for John R. Kirk, attorney.
I would move to approve the contract with John Kirk, attorneys, legal services.
It's the same as the other 3, correct?
Yeah, the compensation's the
Same.
there's one that's different for Kelly Fundler, but it has to do with she's in a firm. So, but yes, that's exactly the same as the one for the 2 last week in terms of compensation and duties.
After hearing that, I'd second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pass 3-0.
You have the updates?
No.
Any need for executive session? With that, do I hear a motion to adjourn at 2:34?
So moved.
I second it.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass 3-0.
Okay.
We'll make sure that we have all of these signed.